Hello everyone, Kaylee here. I recently set out on a mission to see if you can 3D print from CET. It turns out you can. In this episode of How Did They Do That, I'm going to tell you the story of my journey from CET to physical form. And later we can talk about more of the nitty gritty, but for now, enjoy the story of the adventures I had in 3D printing. Late last year, I saw this cute little Knoll Christmas tree ornament. I so want one of those for my own. So I thought to myself, Self, you could 3D print that. So the challenge was officially on. The trouble is, I know nothing about 3D printing. If architects could build mini models, then why couldn't we do the same for furniture?
What is this?
A center for ants?
Little did I know the rabbit hole I was about to fall into. There were so many new terms I had never heard of. G-code and slicing software and object files. First things first, I went onto the internets and researched all sorts of types of printers. There were so many to choose from. I finally settled on the FlashForge Creator Pro 2. This was a mid-range model that had two extruders. I later realized this was a pretty cool feature as it allows for two colors or two different materials to be printed. Because of Amazon Prime, I now had 2 days to figure this out. And my first thought was export it from AutoCAD. I can export a DWG and then convert it there to print. Problem was, I did not have the full version of AutoCAD, and AutoCAD Lite didn't have the correct options. So, back to the drawing board. Then I found a great article describing the many different slicing softwares available. Slicing softwares? I didn't know I needed another type of software. One of the ones I landed on was FreeCAD, and just like the name, it was free, and it did have the ability to export to a 3D printer. So I downloaded it and gave it a try. Talk about a different language. I watched a few great videos on how to create a model, and the instructor was fantastic. And after 15 tries, I finally drew my first rectangle in CAD. It was kind of embarrassing because as a designer with 20 years experience, I thought it would be a little bit easier to draw a single rectangle. So the day finally arrived. I set up my printer, and while leveling it, I was starting to have some trouble. Come to realize one of the cross rods was not installed at the factory. Ah! So, after about $1.50 added to the swear jar, I had to completely disassemble and install the rod correctly. Voila! My first print job was actually happening. Granted, this was the test file that came with the printer. Next up, it was my turn to create something to print. So my printer came with some default slicing software called FlashPrint. It was fairly easy to use. After a few prints, I realized it wasn't quite exactly what I was looking for. But it did teach me that I could import an object file. This was the holy grail. CET could export an object file. No AutoCAD required. This knowledge allowed me to print my very first chair. Nailed it! It was obviously a huge fail, but I was starting to learn and get a hang of this thing. There was this article I read that gave me lots of options for different slicing software, so I tried a couple to see if there were any others that I liked. I tried one called Cura. It was a little bit easier to use, but the problem was I didn't have a driver for my printer, so I reached out support and got a new driver. The problem was I needed an X3G writer to change an object file to G-code.
I don't know what the that was.
After some more research, I decided to bite the bullet and I purchased a license for Simply 3D. I find this program easy to use and there are many short, helpful YouTube videos to help you along the way. So before I purchased, I did a compatibility check and purchased the software and again, my printer was not in their list. So Back to support I went. They emailed me the special secret squirrel file, and now I was finally getting somewhere. In CET, I exported my object file, imported it into Simply 3D, and as easy as pie, I saved it and I printed. I quickly learned there was much more to it, and I have a whole graveyard of failed attempts to prove it. Every day, I learn something new, like printing a desktop vertically and using edit graphics to explode components and simplify them so they print cleaner. I've also learned that my kids' Lego comes in handy when I needed to glue pieces together. The hardest part is watching my items print. Some pieces can take over 7 hours.
Open, open, open.
And God forbid the power goes out mid-print and you lose the whole piece. Yes, that happened. So there it is. Can you 3D print from CET? Yes, you can. Is there a whole world of new skills to learn? Yes, there is. But it has been such a fun learning experience, and I am continuing to print new things every day and learn new skills as I go along. Thanks for watching, and as always, have fun creating.